And now to the CIA. CIA officers are trained to lie and to keep secrets, all in the national interest. Well, a new book, The SpyMasters, attempts to get at the heart of the truth of the CIA and unearth some of those secrets. It's written by Chris Whipple. CIA Directors Shape History and the Future. And Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Let me start at the very end, where you talk about Gina Haspel, the current CIA director, with a quote from someone saying she'd be a very good prison camp commandant. What did you mean by that?
Well, Gina Haspel is an absolutely fascinating character to me, a mystery woman who flies under the radar. She came out of Kentucky, a Johnny Cash fan, and she cut her teeth as a covert operative in the back alleys of Africa. She then formed a relationship. Her mentor was the unlikeliest guy you could imagine, Jose Rodriguez, who was the architect of the whole enhanced interrogation program, infamously at CIA. But he became a kind of feminist mentor to her, encouraged her to go for the London station as at CIA, and the rest is history. She became CIA director, and her record, in my view, is really mixed. There were high hopes that she could be the rare person who could tell Donald Trump what he didn't want to hear, but I think she's really failed as the honest broker of information, both to Congress and to the American people. And I can give you many examples of that, but it's very difficult, as we all know, for anyone to tell Donald Trump hard truths.
A recurring theme throughout this book, Chris, is the importance of the CIA director's relationship with the president. That's really important. How do they all manage it, and how has she managed it, do you think?
It's first of all, it's almost impossible to overstate the importance of the position of CIA director. The CIA director is the person we depend on to prevent another 9/11 or lethal pandemic. And it's almost, as you say, Brian, an impossible balancing act, because you have to tell the president hard truths, and at the same time, you have to have his ear. The CIA director commands an army of analysts and covert operatives and paramilitary warriors and lethal drones. But if you don't have a seat at the table with the president, the whole enterprise is for naught. And this has been true. Richard Helms, for example, famously tried to persuade LBJ that the bombing of North Vietnam was ineffective. LBJ would have none of it. Now, fast forward to Gina Haspel, who has her own difficulties telling Donald Trump what he doesn't want to hear.
A question for you, Chris, from Rhonda Schwartz. Rhonda?
What is it, Chris, with the CIA's obsession with Fidel Castro? They've tried to assassinate him. They've tried to invade Cuba. What's up there?
Good question. It had a lot to do with Bobby Kennedy. One of the great things about the book was the time I got to spend with Cynthia Helms, the widow of the quintessential CIA director, Richard Helms. And Cynthia told me, and these are the moments in the book that I love, where I really try to humanize the directors. Helms would come home at night and tell her that he had lash marks on his back, not literally, but figuratively, because Bobby Kennedy had hectored him all day long about getting rid of Fidel Castro by fair means or foul. The Kennedys were obsessed with that. And the other thing that she told me that I found just kind of poignant was, Chris, she said, they were all asked to do things they shouldn't have done. And God knows Helms was a flawed character. He did cross the line and he committed illegal acts for LBJ, MH Chaos, MK Ultra, all kinds of things. And of course, at the end of the day, when the crunch came, he stood up to Richard Nixon and refused to participate in the Watergate cover-up.
And Chris, you make a good point, I think, throughout the book, that whatever the CIA has done and their failures all along their career, their history of the CIA, it's usually done at the behest of the president, right?
That's right. And one former director told me, Brian, that there will always be a CIA. You could never abolish it because presidents would then have no one to blame. There's a famous lament at Langley, and it is, in this town, there are only policy successes and intelligence failures. And of course, the CIA was blamed for 9/11, but I have chapter and verse in my chapter on the walk up to 9/11, in which George Tenet and his lieutenants went over to the White House, pounded the table, and told Condi Rice we had to go on a war footing now. This was in July of 2001. And yet they were blamed, which is not to say that the CIA hasn't had plenty of screw ups and debacles over the years, but usually it's because the president asked them to do something.
All right. Well, Chris Whipple, thank you very much. This is a great book. I really enjoyed it. It's a terrific read. Once again, terrific work for a former colleague, Chris Whipple. Thank you so much.
Brian, great to see you.